Welcome to the channel this week. This week we're going to be talking about the 2314, the old version, and whether it's still worth it in 2021. I've got a bunch of photographs to show you. I'm going to talk about them a little bit as I go through them. I used them with the X-Pro3, which I have had for the past 3 weeks. It's going off the Fuji today, and we'll talk to you about it after the break. So I had a great 3 weeks with this camera and this lens, although I have to say I've used other lenses more than this one, but I really wanted to test it out. So I did a couple of events on my own, not for the paper, not for anybody but myself. And I wanted to show them to you, but I didn't want to do any video while I was doing it because that really gets in the way of getting real true documentary images. So we're going to go on and look at those images now, but I have to tell you that the things that are the most troubling about this lens is because it's one of the original prime lenses and it's older. It's not, the new technology. So, but one of the things I do like is I do like this clutch for focusing. It's great. And I have that on my 16-1.4, which I really enjoy. But this lens, it's the typical stuff from that original set of Fuji prime lenses, which is it's noisy, it's slow, and all that. And you'll see there is some bokeh footballing going on in some of the images, but really, oh God, the images are just beautiful. When you shoot at 1.4, it's a whole nother world. So if you get the chance, I would suggest you try it. So on to the images, and I'll talk to you about each one of them as we go along. And as we do that, I'm going to talk about what the experience was like as I was shooting that image, because that's really important, and how this lens performed in that user experience. So off we go. So for this little mini project, I was looking for moments, and this shot here, it's pretty sharp, but it's just a little bit maybe off. I'm not really quite sure, but I was looking for moments, and this woman was happily clapping as the carolers were singing. And then Santa showed up, and I was trying to keep up moving backwards as he was coming at me. And honestly, the lens on continuous focus was not really keeping up very well. I mean, it did an okay job, but at 1.4, it's really crucial that it's sticking to the subject. And it worked out all right. This is a good shot. It's nice and sharp. This next shot here is just a little bit out. I was focusing on Mrs. Claus here. I love the highlight on her face, but it's just a little bit out. And that might have more to do with me, moving the focus point more than it was the lens. And then this next shot here is, again, of Mrs. Claus at the microphone, or over away from it, actually. But it's tack sharp. I love the highlighting on her face. I love the faces in the crowd. And that's really what this is all about, looking for those faces in the crowd, which was really, really interesting. And this next shot here is of Mrs. Claus got a hug from a friend. And again, look at the faces in the crowd, people smiling and laughing and taking video and so on and so forth. It was really a great experience. And you look at the crowd for tree lighting, it's awesome. And then there was this woman here that was singing Christmas in Rockport, or I should say playing the piano while they were singing Christmas in Rockport. And she gave me the evil eye as I was making shots of her, which is pretty great. This next shot here of Chief Rogers from Coast Guard Station Gloucester, and just after he switched the lights on, he gave this fist pump, and it really made the image for me, because you don't often see these things like this. And the best part about this shot is it's really nice and sharp, just a beautiful image. Now these next images here, I went out later at night to see what the out of focus lights were going to look like as far as the bokeh is concerned. And they actually aren't really bad for a lens that is this old. And I really had a good time roaming around doing it. This shot here, of course, is of me shooting, but you can see that the image, the bokeh in the background, they're a little like footballs almost. They're not quite as nice and round. Of course, it's not a really expensive video lens either. This next shot, the depth of field is real short because I was shooting at an extreme angle here, more like in the the right hand side here is more in focus. I was trying to get the the reflection more than anything else, and that being out of focus looks kind of nice. This shot here, not really trying to show too much with the out of focus lights, but it, you know, I think it worked quite well. I wanted a feeling to this image, you know, and this really gives you that image of Christmas in Rockport. This next shot here, I was looking for reflections on car hoods, of all things, and I really like the way these came out because they're really kind of cool. And I've got a blow up here of the bokeh in the background, and you'll see that the inside of these circles has got some funkiness going on, and they're more round than they are oblong, so I don't mind this at all. And you know, in the background, this is blown up 200%, so in the background of a 100% image, it doesn't look that bad at all. I didn't really mind it. And this next image is another one off of a car hood, just a little bit different. And the bokeh is great. It just isn't that bad, you know. For a lens that you can find used for $500, boy, it's pretty nifty. And I really enjoyed shooting with this lens, and especially going out after dark and looking for some different images at 1.4. I hope you enjoyed today's video on this original prime classic Fuji XF 23 1.4R, because it still is a beautiful lens, and it costs a heck of a lot less money than the newer version does. And by the way, you probably can't get the newer version because it's probably not available. Well, available meaning you can't find it because there's a supply chain problem. But you can get this one, and you know, B&H, Adorama, wherever it is, you can find these lenses. And used, I bet you can find a copy of this lens for a mint copy for probably $500. Now that's a heck of a deal. $500 for a 1.4 35 full frame equivalent, well worth the investment, in my opinion. If I had the opportunity, I'd own one, just because it's a classic. It's one of the very first primes that Fuji came out with. You know, the 35 1.4, 23 1.4, and then later on the 16 1.4. Beautiful lenses in their own right. The clutch, awesome stuff. Great, and it gives you the, I don't know if you can see this, but right here, inside the clutch, when you pull it down, it shows you the, you know, the feet and your depth of field scale, which is great. Really, really works. So if you wouldn't mind, please give me a like, make a comment, subscribe to the channel. That would be great. And that's it for this week, and this time I've had with the X-Pro3 and the 23 1.4. So we'll catch you next week.